Welcome, everybody, to the Dreambuildrs podcast. I am super excited for the upcoming interview. Today, our guest is Kinga Tanajewska. Kinga is an adventurer and a motorcycle traveler, and a couple of years ago, she left Australia to travel solo around the globe without any idea where this adventure was probably going to end. And right now, she has been to Australia, Asia, Europe, Africa, some amazing travels, some amazing adventures, going off-road, wild camping, and she's also blogging about that on her blog, onherbike.com. So please check that out, by the way. And the reason why I'm so excited to talk to Kinga today is because she, for me, is a pure example about how you can actually start doing what you should do or what you should seek after in your life. So Kinga, welcome to the Dreambuildrs podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the invite.
I'm very happy to talk to you. Actually, it was funny because last time we got to meet each other via mutual friends. And the last time you were traveling around the globe. And at the time we got introduced to each other, you were in Portugal.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm wondering, before we start talking about your amazing adventures and your travels, kind of as a build up to how this actually all began, like your passion for traveling, your passion for adventure and exploring, and of course also for motorbikes. How did this all start? Like, you didn't just hop on to that journey immediately, right?
No, definitely
what was Kinga before all of that?
It was a long journey. Look, my motorcycles were my passion since I was 16. So I pretty much this is who I am. I am a motorcyclist and a traveler from the very long time. This is sort of my identity and my passion. But since I immigrated to Australia, I sort of switched from the road bikes to more adventure bikes, which will allow me to do a lot of off-road, go wild camping, and and that's pretty much where I started that journey that took me to here where I am now. So for the first thing, as a solo ride, I did trip around Australia. I did it in 58 days, although it was in 2 sections year by year, but I did the first half and then the second half. And then 4 years ago, I had a head-on collision with a car. I had broke my hand, broke my leg. I had post-traumatic stress. At the same time, I had, my marriage fell apart. I had an extremely stressful job, and everything was really, it just was too much for me at the time because everything happened within 4 months. And pretty much I broke. I got so depressed. I had I think the biggest impact for me to fall apart was the post-traumatic stress and the head-on collision, because your brain registers you can die. And I was just crying for weeks. I just could not shake that off. But anyway, I went to psychologist, got some help, and 10 months later, I got the payout for my injuries. So I thought, okay, job can wait. I have no husband. I always dreamed to go overland. Okay, I've done the Australia, but I want to go, let's say around the world. I don't know. I had money. I knew I had money for like 2 years at least. So I just thought, okay, now or never, and then quit everything and took off.
Wow.
So, and it's I mean, people ask me like, we're so jealous because you lived this life. Yeah, but sometimes I don't think it would be so easy for me to leave everything behind if my relationship was great, if my job wasn't so stressful, right? If I didn't have that accident that would put me down so much. So I think sometimes you really need to reach bottom rock to actually just think about your life and what's important for you, and just maybe start a new chapter in your life. So that chapter of mine is, it's not for nearly 4 years now. So there's no going back from that, really. I don't know. I'm just going to keep going for as long as I can. And as long as I'm happy, and I'm happy, like I've never been happiest, When I suffered from depression, I thought life will never get better. Life will there's no light in a tunnel. There's no way things can get better. And motorcycles really saved me because that was a distraction, and that was, even although I couldn't ride, I could not even turn, it was like baby steps. It's like I had to, learn how to ride a motorcycle from the start, but I did it slowly, and really that saved me mentally. It was such big, I don't know, it puts such impact on how I can stay focused and forget about my worries. So I think having any passion, not just motorcycling, but motorcycling, I think they're the best. Because you really, when you're going off-road, you can't focus on anything else. That's it. If you're going into challenging road, that's all you're focused on. And that's a great way of distraction if you have really, if you're really down or you have problems. And I know for a fact, I know so many people who were saying the same things. Motorcycle saved me because, if it wasn't for that, my life would be just, I don't know, I would just fall apart because I didn't have anything to distract me and to follow that path and and leave everything behind.
Wow, I think it's a very brave decision that you just, you said like, yeah, I just, at some point in time, I just went for it, beside all the things that you have been through, right? Like a depression and a very heavy accident. I just wonder, like, what gave you that final go? Because there should be, like, besides just having, like, as a passion for motorcyclists, was that big perhaps motivation in you to just give that go and say, like, I'm going to travel around the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave everything behind, and basically I don't care anymore about what's behind me, but I'm just going to do it, right? And I think that's a very brave decision. So
yeah, and that was the hardest decision. The hardest of all is to start, and then everything just works out. And suddenly you realize, actually, it's not that scary. Actually, I don't have to worry about these things that I worried before. Like maybe, I was always worried. My bike's going to break down. What I'm going to do if I have a flat in the middle of nowhere, or people rape me or kill me. It's just like all these thoughts, which are natural for us because, we all scared of the unknown. We don't like it's so, especially when we used to, this comfortable life of, I've had a nice, beautiful apartment, mortgage, good paid job and husband. And I thought, this is it. This is my life for the end of my life, right? Like, career and just life in Sydney. But so the hardest was definitely to start. But what definitely where I got inspired was social media. ADV, we call it adventure riding. ADV community started growing, and I was looking at all these people who are traveling around the world, and they can do it. Women can do it. Guys can do it. Like, why I can't? Why I can't? Like, that's it. Like, if they're doing it, it can't be that hard. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's because I saw so many people are doing it, and now even more people are doing it. And when you're on the road, you think everyone is doing it because you're meeting all these people. You know what I mean? So actually, the hardest part is to start, and then everything just works out.
Wow, how was that feeling when you just said, okay, I'm going for it, I'm going on this world trip? Like, you pack your bags, you prepare everything.
I was so scared. So scared. I was like leaving Australia with tears in my eyes. My friends dropped me off at the airport, and I was just like catching this plane because that's how I started. I shipped my bike to South Korea, and I caught a plane to South Korea, and that's how I started, riding on 2 wheels, and then only bike or ferries. That's it. There was no plane after that. But I was so scared. Just that thought of, if you actually can do it, are you actually capable of doing this? So I really think everyone is, maybe, sure. Some people won't take challenging tracks more than others, right? But really, if you want to go around the world, majority of the roads are fine. And if you do research, you can avoid the ones that you're scared of. And then eventually with time, you're actually going to crave for the bad one. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. So yeah, it's really not that scary. And I think I don't know any overlander, anyone who I met who've done similar things, who would say it was a mistake. I regret that. I should have stayed home. I haven't met anyone who would tell you this. And I've met a lot of them.
I can imagine. And I'm just wondering, so like how do you prepare for a trip like that if you only go on a motorbike, right? I mean,
not so much. Really, I'm so bad with research. But you see, because I have the whole social media, I've got Instagram, YouTube, I'm so busy with just providing content for these platforms. I really don't have time for research because you've got only 24 hours in a day, and then you have to ride, you have to prepare for boarding crossings, and then I really only my whole thing is like, there's, because of the social connection online, you just like ask this person because you know he's been there like 2 months, 3 months. Like how was it? Like, oh, okay, good. I'm going. You know, is this border okay? Yeah, you can go there. So this is how I travel, and then I'm arriving to country, and sometimes I know where the locations, like 3 locations I want to see, but a lot of time I have no idea, and that's the best of it, because sometimes local riders said to me, or like just local community will say to me, oh, this is a nice road, just go there. And I pretty much, that's how I travel. I just ask people, that's it. And not too far ahead. It's just like tomorrow I know, you know, today I know where I'm going to go tomorrow. It happens a lot like that, which is a great thing because it gives you this sense of freedom. Too much planning is no good for you. And even if you plan, things change so quickly, especially in Africa. Forget about it. You can't plan anything, especially now in Corona. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Even going through Europe, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. So what do you pack on a trip? Like, what do you have in your bags? Like
too much stuff.
Too much, still too much.
Still too much.
You can't bring that much, right?
Yeah, well, no, you can't bring that much. But if you compare, like, guys carry way less than girls, and even some girls carry way less than me. But you know what? Like, I really need this stuff. Like, I camp a lot, so I have like one partner is just the camping gear, super light, extra good, super expensive gear that I needed. But I've got a chair, I've got a cooker, I've got everything. So if I can set myself, you know, for a week and just be there comfortable, so I need it. I don't care. I'm carrying it. I don't care. I'm carrying it, and that's it, because I use it all the time. Plus, I have a lot of cosmetics with me. I'm just not going to mention how many, but it's just in Africa, you cannot buy stuff, you know, for like white hair, shampoos, and that sort of stuff, and like good face cream. Yeah. So I carry a lot of spares if I fly somewhere, or I get my friends to bring me, you know, from Europe. So yeah, I carry a lot of that. So maybe that's way too much, but I just can't go without it. And then I have food, because you never know. I do go through remote places, so I'm just always prepared that if I get stuck somewhere for 3 days, I will have food and water, right? So, yeah, I carry a lot of stuff. But then again, hey, I'm the one who's carrying it, and that's my challenge when it comes to off-road. Again, to say it's like, I regret every kilogram you have with it. It's just like, damn it, why I have to take so many things? I really need to go like that, and then it's just not happening.
So still a lot in the back, actually, and I wonder, since you arrived in South Korea, that's how long ago now? 3 years, 2 years?
Oh yeah, 3.5 years. Yeah,
3.5 years ago. Like, what has been your, let's say, your biggest adventure, most crazy adventure that you have been on? I mean,
I think the most scariest, the most challenging was Mongolia, because in so many levels, and that was my dream, and I planned the route so I can cross Mongolia, but I was a little bit unlucky with people, and I did feel frightened a few times, and I picked really challenging roads with such overloaded bike that it's like then I had like 2 sleeping bags, like so many thermals and so much food, because I was overloaded. Like normally I'm overloaded, I was like extremely overloaded because I really thought there's nothing there, and I had to be warm, you know. So I sent it back after I left Mongolia. But so that was a really big challenge for me. But also, it was the harshest country I've ever been to. I've never seen anything like that after and before. And these people live in really, really harsh conditions. So now when I really compare everything to Mongolia. Mongolia was really challenging. Everything after that, it's like easy, right? No problem. Even Africa is no problem. It's actually stressless. So. So that's good that happened at the start, you know, because I was like 3rd country I entered. Like, that's good. I had this like wake up call, and I know what I'm capable of, and it taught me how to behave as well, how to protect myself in a lot of situations. So I'm traveling much smarter, and I'm not so naive, and I'm really careful where I go and who I'm hanging out around with, and yeah. So that's a good thing. It happened at the start, I think. Definitely changed me completely. Mentally changed me a lot.
I can imagine, and also because you meet so much different people, like from all kind of cultures on your trip. That must also be super interesting, like coming to different places. How is that shaping you as let's say another person, like the different views you get out of life?
Oh,
because you've been basically everywhere, like going through Asia, Africa, Europe, and people receive you in different ways, right?
Definitely. And this really shapes, like makes you a different person. You've got so much understanding, you've got so much compassion, and you become so tolerant and grateful, right? Because I'm a privileged person. I actually had enough money to buy myself a motorbike, to pack up and go, and to leave everything behind. And you're going through countries where people are poor, and there's really, even if they want to ride a motorcycle, firstly they can't afford it. If you do can afford it, they will never be able to go abroad or even cross the border, right? So we are very lucky, you know, people who can travel, and it's a privilege, right? It's really we were born in these families and we got this education, and that's why we can afford stuff. But some people are born to different families and they will never be able to do that. And you know what, it's very eye-opening experience. So it makes you really appreciate what you've got. Yeah.
Well, that's beautifully said, by the way. Yeah. What is the most beautiful place you've been on the planet?
Oh my God, so
far?
many. So many.
If there's a place you could go back, which
oh man, really, there was no country that I wouldn't find beautiful. Because sometimes maybe the least interesting in terms of off-road riding is Europe. Okay, so of course, because it's so restricted, too many rules, it's too expensive, and you have to pay for campings, and you can't do wild camping. So it's like I feel like I'm really restricted. But the community of riders is big. So everywhere I go, I meet with local riders, and I made so many friends. So that's why I love coming back to Europe. You know what I mean? So it's different. Yeah. It's a different feeling about Europe. Okay, you don't have off-road, you don't have the freedom, but you got so many friends everywhere, and that's great. In terms, like, I fell in love with Africa, and I think this continent like really stole my heart, and I'm so in love with it that I'm going back in like 3 weeks. I just can't wait to go back, and I think I'm going to be there for another 2 years, because you know I just can't travel overland as I plan to, but I will just go to any country that will let me in and it's safe to cross. So, but Africa is so different. It's such, I don't know anything about it, and the freedom of going anywhere, the people you meet, they're so positive, they're such welcoming, you know. It's a really beautiful experience. And I was actually worried about going to Africa because, you know, the media and everyone's saying, I thought it's going to be really bad. I'm going to get malaria, probably I'm going to get injured, I'm going to get medical help, what I'm going to do when my bike breaks down, all these thoughts that everyone's got, right? And then I went there, and it was such smooth sailing. Nothing happened to me. I had not even one bad experience with people. You know, my bike didn't break down, and it was just so good, so good. I love it so much. I have to go back. And be there for a long time.
Yeah, do it. But you're going back already next week or so, or in a couple of weeks.
Yes, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
I know. Can't wait.
How do you do that with like you do like wild camping and so on, right? I mean, how do you do that with like intense heat, or like do you have experience like very cold places? Like you need to be prepared for that, right? So
yeah, you do. And I am. I spent a lot of money on good camping gear, on the mattresses, on the warm bags and liners and everything else. That's what I'm saying. I carry a lot of stuff, but I'm always prepared. So the coldest was -5, no problem with my gear. The hottest was 48. Tonight was like 42. That was Sudan, and I was like really bad. After 3 days, that's it. I said, I'm out of here. I'm just taking. I don't care how much hotel's gonna. I just cannot breathe anymore. You know, like you can do it like at night at 2, but it's just like after 3 nights, just like I need to have aircon. You know. So yeah, you get that. But then again, it's just, you know, it's experience, and it's. You appreciate these things later on. You sort of you upset when you're like, oh my God, what I was thinking. But then it's like you laugh at it, and you got a good story to tell, and you test yourself how hot you can actually get in, and how can you actually handle it. So it's sort of like testing your limits, you know. And you always remember the amazing things and the great things, and everything what was sort of normal and boring. You don't remember these things at all. They never stay in your sort of memories.
Wow. But if you're like on 42 degrees in the night, how much water do you bring to be able to carry that?
Yeah, you drink all the time. You drink pretty much all the time. Yeah. No, well, I did camp through all the way through Sudan, but sometimes I would just like pack up and go, and that was really tiring. But then when I got to Khartoum, it was just so extremely hot, and I was like camping near that was a revolution in Sudan back then, like literally 500 meters from the headquarters of the revolution. So I could hear these people singing and cheering, and it was like really incredible experience because, you know, after that the revolution, Sudan is no longer the country that it was a year ago, right, or a year and a half ago. And I'm so pleased that these changes happened to these people, like in Sudan, because they're the most beautiful people I've ever met. But yeah, Sudan at that time, the temperature was really, really challenging. And after that, nothing feels hot, you know? You're going through, like when you have temperature 38, it's like, oh yeah, 38, it's fine. Everything up to 42, it's fine. But after that, it's like you're no longer fine.
I can imagine. Oh my God, that's really funny.
Yeah, you standard sort of like you started to have a scale of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Yeah. And what you mentioned crossing borders in the beginning, I can imagine that can be a challenge too, right? Like crossing borders constantly. How do you do that? Like, do you have to wait sometimes a long time to enter a country and to leave a country?
Sometimes.
How does that work?
Sometimes. Look, normally Central Asia, Europe, no problem. You know, if you show the same papers and it's fine, no problem. It's just coming to Africa where it can be different. Like, you know, it can be very difficult to cross. It can be time consuming. I think Egypt is the hardest border to cross around the world by far. I didn't wait. I was there 10 hours running around trying to organize the papers at the border. It's crazy madness. But that's actually the shortest period of time you can enter the country. That's like 10 hours, you're good. This is like, well done. You can't get shorter than this. And then people, sometimes they have to catch a bus to Cairo that's 14 hours ride and come back with the papers from Cairo. It's madness. So sometimes people have their bikes for like 2-3 days, 2 weeks, name it. They all had it. So I think after Egypt, everything is easy. So if I have to wait on the border 3 hours, that's not a problem at all. That's nothing.
Easy.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like standards really like this is acceptable. 10 hours, it's like it's painful, but 3, it's okay. You learn a lot of patience, and I think you have to have patience because if you don't, your journey would be so much stressful. You know, it's and you're gonna waste energy. And what for? Like you cannot rush things, especially in Africa. This is Africa, and that's what it is. And you have either accept it and be patient, or you're just gonna tear your hair out because there's nothing you can do, and you don't want to pay the bribes. So you really need to show them that you've got the time, you're not in a rush, and then they just when you see that you have time, they won't take bribes from you. So you just take it easy. Slow down, you know. I've heard so many stories. People like someone wanted to bribe on the border, so people just put the stove out, you know, start cooking tea, you know, preparing tea, having lunch. It's like, oh, we got all the time, no problem. You don't want to let us. We're just gonna be there forever. You know what I mean? We've got tents. We can set up a tent. So like, you know, the authorities. So it's like, come on, guys. No. You're like, okay, get out. So sometimes you just really need to be patient and show them that you've got all the time in the world.
Oh, okay, be patient. What is another, let's say big learning lesson from that whole travel that you had, from 3 years of traveling? It was like a huge aha moment or breakthrough for yourself.
Wow, I don't know, because you know, I'm a completely different person on so many levels, right? Like I mentioned to you, you learn to be patient, and you learn to accept things and just and appreciate things. But wow moment for us was from Mongolia, because bad things happened to me. Okay, nothing real bad situations, but really bad things didn't happen to me because I survived. But that was wow moment when I'm thinking, actually, I think you were a little bit naive that you could do it by yourself, or you could trust people, because I spent 12 years in Australia. Like, Aussies are such great people and they're so nice to each other. There was no reason for me not to be, like, I don't know, trust people or just like hanging out with the locals, because especially when the family was there, but then all these drunks came to the yurt and people that wanted to kiss me, and just like awful place. They were throwing up at me. I'm thinking, what the hell? Why did I find myself in this situation? but sometimes you cannot plan things, right? Sometimes you think everything's gonna be fine, but I think it's you know, I learned how to listen to my intuition, right? So if things doesn't, when people don't feel right, or if the place doesn't feel right, even although I'm nearly unpacked and it's just, I don't know what it is, but something doesn't feel right, I would just pack up and go. So I stopped taking chances. And also my writing, with my writing as well, I do not take chances. I so conservative when I'm writing by myself. I will take off road, but I will slowly. I would not, you know, I would just, so I've got control of everything as much as possible, of course, right? But the moment I'm with people, it's like, oh yeah, this is great, everything go fast. I can just like let it, you know, like just vent out, you know, because when you're by yourself, you just always be aware, always look, always scan and assess the risk. So I think, but it became my, I don't even think about these things because it become my second nature. So I think that's what traveling, this is what traveling really taught me. And it's a good thing because you know, I'm out of travel since Mongolia, and one case in Azerbaijan. Really, like for 2 years, I'd never had any big experiences, and it's just been enjoyable and stressless. So it's, yeah, I think it's the right thing to do, and I think everyone would eventually would learn that on the road, because it's sort of becoming natural after a while.
Wow. Yeah, I also think it's sometimes difficult, especially in normal life, to just let go. But when you're traveling, it's a whole kind of different sensation, perhaps, right?
Yeah, of course you have to let I mean, you have the sense of freedom, but you also have to think, if I'm like, oh, I don't know, like for example, I'm going to take that road and I don't know, there's no help, you know, it's going to be extremely remote, so maybe I should leave some luggage behind so I go lighter, so it's not as challenging, you know, all this like technical stuff you have to think and consider, all these risks you have to assess. But yeah, don't get me wrong, I still have this freedom. Like I said to you, it's like tomorrow, I don't know, I'm going to, like today, I'm only planning for tomorrow. So that's nice. But also because I'm a woman, you know, don't hang out, don't drink with the locals, because you never know how it's going to go. Only, you know, stay and hang out with people. And even if I'm hosting by people, I always pick families, you know, I don't know, husband, wives, sometimes full families, sometimes just women. I don't stay with single guys, because that's another factor. I'm sort of, maybe nothing will happen, but I just don't want to take that risk, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, little things like this.
Cool. I read on your blog that you're also, which I find very inspiring too, that you're raising money for a disabled child, right?
Yes,
Can you
for
perhaps tell
Frank.
us something more about that? Because I think it's really
Sure,
relevant. Yeah.
sure. Well, when I was traveling around Australia, I was raising money for an organization who helps deaf children, Shepherd Center. And when I planned my round the world trip, I thought it would be good to find just one child, because I think then that, you know, I can actually raise more and make a difference at one child's life. And my friends from Poland, we used to sing in the choir in high school, and I knew her son needs help, and she was always raising money for him. So I thought that would be great if I could help her out. And her son it's just his half of the body is paralyzed, so it doesn't develop as much as it should. So he needs rehabilitation for life. But he's doing real well, and yeah, we've been raising money for him since. So, and I will continue that, you know, for as long as I'm on the road. I just want to help this little boy. So, yeah.
Wow. I think that's amazing that you're raising that awareness
you.
as well during your travel. So that's really, really
Sure.
cool.
Thank you.
What I'm just thinking, like, you know, after, like, you've basically been everywhere around the world. Perhaps South America is still
Yes,
amazing.
still 2 Americas, of course.
2 Americas.
But you know, now I'm going back on the road, but it doesn't mean I'm going to travel as freely as I can, you know, and shipping back somewhere else, it's a nightmare at the moment. So I'm pretty much going to be on standby in Africa until situation is going to, you know, be under control again, because at the moment you can't really travel anywhere. But my bike is in Mozambique, so I'll stay there. I'll go to neighboring countries. I'll see how I go. There's no really plan. I just want to be back with my bike and maybe do kite surfing training.
That's very cool, kitesurfing.
Yeah.
Wow. But I also wanted to ask, like, do you ever have thoughts like, perhaps one day you have seen the whole world, like how this is all going to end up, and if you perhaps think about going back, and is that not going back
No.
to normal? Like, is that not freaking you out? A kind of thought like this?
Yeah, it's freaking me out. That's why I'm not thinking about it. Yeah. No, look, I'm really, because this pretty much become my job, because I'm a YouTuber, so I'm making
Yeah.
money, and if my YouTube channel is increasing, so actually, this money can allow me to travel comfortably. I also have a t-shirt shop. Hold on, I can show you one of those for riders. So that's going really well as well. So it's actually as long as I'm on the road and I'm gathering content and I'm sharing that on my social media channels, I can continue to travel. So this is sort of my job now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll do it for as long as I'm happy and as long as I can afford it. And I don't know when I'm going to end. Or I don't know. It's not on cards yet. It's not. I cannot imagine going to normal life. It would be. It's just the thought. Just that thought depresses me so much. So I don't want to think about it.
No, so then it's important that you live out what matters to you, right? And that you do the things that you really, really like, and going on these adventures and doing it. I think that's amazing. And perhaps last question to round up. What would you tell to people that are perhaps thinking about doing something new? They're perhaps stuck in a job, or they want to explore new opportunities somewhere, but they're not sure whether they should really do it.
Do it. I tell them, do it. Like I said to you, I don't know anyone who would regret it, so I think that's already good. That's already good reason, right? Like so many people and more people are doing it, and lots of people, everyone's got a different story. Some people rent their places, some people sell their businesses, some people are digital nomads, they work digitally, so they can. Some people do, I don't know, like volunteering work somewhere for food and accommodation, and everyone's got a different story. So everyone needs to find their own way. And I know it's hard to start. Of course, it's hard, and it definitely, you need to have money for just to start. But you need to have a bike, you need to pay insurance, you need to pay the visa. So that's actually expensive. And so I know because I've been there. Like I thought I'll never be able to afford it, but then I don't know. Just things slowly. Worked out. So I cannot say that everyone who put their mind into it can do it, because like I said to you, I know I've been to countries, and no matter how much some people would desire to do it, there will never be if you can't afford to even feed your family, that will always only be your dream, right? But there are opportunities out there that, and after a while, social media is one of the good things where you can start earning money, or you can get sponsorship for the gear and stuff like that, and a lot of support. And our community, adventure riding community, is growing so fast, and there is a lot of help from brands. So if you build your numbers, if you active there, and brands recognize you and they like your personality and who you are, they will give you gear for free, or even give you financial support, because after you reach certain sort of amount of followers, of course, but the opportunities are there, definitely, and you have to put a lot of hard work into it, but it is possible. Look at me, I'm here now, and I've got great sponsors behind me, and I worked very hard to get to this moment. Like I worked for like 5 years to be in this stage. Nothing happens overnight, but it was worth it. Hey, it was. Sometimes you just need to take that risk.
Absolutely love it. So, Kinga, I really want to thank you for joining this conversation, for your time, also for your energy in this conversation.
Did I use a lot of hands again? Jesus, I need to tie them also.
It's good. And for all the people that are listening or watching this conversation, perhaps it's good to find out where they can actually check you. So I know you have your blog on herbike.com, right? You have a YouTube channel.
On her bike,
Instagram,
YouTube on her bike, and Facebook on her bike. Easy.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna encourage everyone to check her out. She has some amazing travel blogs that you can check out where she has been. It's gonna be very cool. I'm very excited to see what you are gonna do in the future, and what kind of adventures you will be doing. Thank you. Then I want to thank you once again, and thank all the listeners as well for listening, watching this conversation. And we will be back soon.
It was fun. Thank you so much.
Cheers.